Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another webinar of Business Casual. Today we're joined by Morgan Bapst. He is an importer of fine spirits and liquors with Big Shot Imports in South Korea. Welcome, Morgan.
Welcome, Bob. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We will be putting Morgan's contact information and Big Shot Imports information into the comments. You can look them up at bigshotimports.com if you are in Korea looking for some nice spirits and liquors. So, Morgan, you have about a decade of experience in South Korea, and this gives you a unique experience being a non-Korean, and you've dealt a lot with cross-cultural communication in different countries. What are some of the different cultures and countries that you regularly work with?
Okay, well, we bring things in from primarily Central Europe, so Germany, Austria, and then we're working a little bit with Czech Republic and also Poland. We also have a producer in Cambodia we work with as well, but mainly European producers.
Okay, and you obviously deal with a lot of Koreans and Korean businesses.
We do, yeah. On the Korean side, that is, as far as personal contacts, we talk to our distributors once a month, twice a month. We're dealing with Koreans daily, so yeah.
Excellent. What's been one of the biggest hurdles across cultural lines that you faced?
The biggest one is with Western culture, actually. Germans are known for their long vacations. And, there are times where the heads of the export departments might be gone for a week, 2 weeks, and we need something changed, we need something altered, paperwork or whatever. We need to put an express order. And the answer is, well, wait till they get back. That can be kind of difficult to work with. Also, I'm sure a lot of you have heard this before, but when East Asians, Koreans, they rarely ever say no to something. They'll say, maybe, we'll talk about it later. And, it takes a while to get used to that. When you go to a meeting and someone says, maybe, you should know to walk out of the meeting and say this will never happen, rather than, well, I'll call them in a week and see what they say. So those are the two kind of two main issues.
Do you find exceptions to that rule where someone says maybe and you go back and you push a little bit more?
Not often.
No?
Generally, maybe means no.
Okay.
This seems like a good idea, we'll talk about it later, means you got to push. But yeah, generally if you get an answer that isn't definitively yes, it means it's not going to happen.
And how often do you find they will easily say yes? Or how often does yes actually mean yes?
As a foreigner doing this business, I'm kind of seen as a novelty when I do actual sales. Me personally, I don't do a lot of sales like to bars, to restaurants. I have a few customers I work with that are friends of mine, but generally we have sales staff for that. So I don't really have a lot of that. But as the novelty, sometimes I come in and pitch products or whatever, and they see me and tall white guy, beard, and they're just so weirded out and excited. They're like, yeah, I'll take anything you're selling. And other times they kind of look at it and say, hey, what are you doing here? Why are you doing this? No matter how much they like it, they just don't get it, and they don't, why I'm there, and they don't really want me there. So,
okay, yeah. Interesting. So I'm going to ask you a very textbook business school question. Okay, why are imports valuable to the overall marketplace?
Well, funny you ask that. It provides a variety of contexts of products to a culture. There's all cultures and countries and economies will have a comparative advantage over someone else. And in a lot of cases, it doesn't make any sense for a certain product to be made by a certain economy, culture, whatever. So having the ability to import those products that your country has no business making, and still having the customer, making the available customer, is always it's just a good thing to have. It makes people happy to have variety.
Excellent. I know since you've been in South Korea for about 10 years, Korea has changed a lot. At least the reputation of Korea has changed a lot, from a traditional closed business culture to a more open global business culture. Have you seen or felt any of those changes?
Honestly, I haven't really seen very much of that or even experienced very much of that. From my perspective, the level of international influence Korea lets in is always about the same. Now that influence changes from one product to another product, from this type of food to that type of food, from Southeast Asian oriented to European oriented, whatever it is. But it always kind of seems like about the same amount of foreign influence. Korea kind of they let a product in, they figure out how to do it themselves, they kick that product out, and they have the homegrown, the local domestically produced whatever that is. whether it's beer, spirits, whiskey, food, what have you.
We've seen that with Uber.
Right, Uber is a great example of that. They kind of let it happen for a while, and then they realized the taxis, they didn't want to affect the taxis, so then they blocked Uber and they made a competitive product. It doesn't really work very well, but it works for their economy. You also saw that with Google Maps. Google Maps had some problems, which allowed Naver Maps to take over. And then now they kind of let Google Maps back in, but it was too late at that point. A lot of food products are the same way. They'll, they're not right now. The big brewery for years, the big beer import or beer breweries in Korea, they had one product each, and that's all they wanted. Now the whole global craft beer trend is coming up, and all these companies now made a couple, they big imports, and then now, Hyatt is making a couple folksy craft style beers, and that'll basically push all the exports out or the imports out of the market, and that's just kind of how the system goes in Korea.
Now, do you think we're probably getting a little bit off topic here, but do you think that the large breweries that are making their version of craft beers, do you think they really will push out the imports or local crafts? Do they taste good enough to do that?
It doesn't. I don't think taste really matters. Taste matters a little bit, but it's all marketing and what's cheap and what's available and what's easily available to the Korean consumer. And I do think they will. The big Korean companies are not, they're all affiliated or owned by the other companies, by Ambev and Miller and stuff like that. So they have access to all the recipes and all the styles of beer. So it's not so for the decades and decades where they've only made one or two styles. It wasn't because they couldn't make anything else. It just wasn't. It wasn't necessary for them to do so until some of these smaller importers and producers kind of pushed them into that. But now that they know it's important, I do think you're going to see a lot of the foreign imports kind of pushed out or marginalized and just replaced with the mainstream craft beers.
Okay,
I
good.
think that'll happen. We'll see.
Nice. Let's go back to importing specifically. What is something about importing that most people who are not in the import business, just something they would be surprised about or don't understand?
I think a lot of people don't understand the amount of taxes that are levied on products that are brought into the country. You're looking at 200-300% for some items, and on top of shipping and everything else. So when people see stuff, I'm like, oh, I can get that for. It's only 50 cents in America. Why is it $3 here in Korea? This is ridiculous. Somebody's greedy or whatever. And I'm like, well, not necessarily. It had to be brought there. It had to be relabeled. It has to. All these different processes have to be gone through to actually get it into most countries. So I think just the amount of taxes, the amount of work it takes to meet the local government's standards for product. I think a lot of people don't understand that. I also think a lot of people don't understand the differences in what is allowed in different countries. Like just certain chemicals, a coloring agent might be banned just in Korea. Everywhere else in the world is fine, but just Korea has a problem with it. And that keeps out a huge number of products because they have that chemical in it. So I think things like that people don't really understand. I think they think it's pretty much the same everywhere, but it's not.
Yeah, and it's not that necessarily that chemical is actually bad. It just hasn't been cleared by customs or their regulatory agents.
I have my conspiracy theories about their certain products they're trying to keep out of the market. I have no proof of any of this, but a few things I've come across, it's like they're trying to keep this out for some reason.
Maybe to protect local products or businesses.
Yeah,
okay.
They're just theories, but yes, I think there's a few of those. But
we,
yeah,
we won't name any names.
Right. A lot of times I think it just means they haven't, like I said, they just haven't been cleared yet. And you've got to have someone do that. It's an expensive process and it hasn't been done yet.
All right. So how bad is dealing with customs? Because customs gets a bad reputation, but is it really as bad as people say?
So I've only dealt with Korean customs, so I can't say Hong Kong, US, whatever, but Korean customs are pretty bad. The way they look at any kind of ingredients form or tax form or whatever, they look at it as if they're looking at their teachers looking at a paper trying to find mistakes. It's not, okay, this is good, this is good, this is good. It's, wait a second, why is this comma here? Wait a second, it's spelled this way here, and it's spelled, the British version, British English here and American English here. Why? We're going to take 2 weeks to have you come in, explain why, then we're going to put you at the bottom of the pile, and you have to go through the process again. why is you might have 2 runs of the same product, like the stickers slightly replaced. Why is it like that? Why did you get 2 different ones?
Mm-hmm.
Because they sent it to us. Stuff like that. And every time you delay, it takes 2-3 weeks. The longest we've ever had to deal with customs is about 3 months. We had a product in for 3 months, and it was because the Germans use periods and commas in reverse to how Americans use periods and commas, and they knew that, but they just needed us to tell them that was the situation. So it sat for a month. We finally got a chance to go to the hearing and say what the situation was. They said, "Oh, okay, well, we'll get back to it in 2 weeks." That went through again, but
fun bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Right?
But they look at stuff. It's like, wait a second, these ingredients add up to 99.999986. Why not 100? Stuff like that.
Which is very common on just regular packaging.
Yeah.
Kills 99.9% of germs. You can't say 100
right.
because of that.
I feel kind of stupid sometimes because I have to write whenever we get stuff sent to us, I have to write them. Make sure that your ingredients add up to 100%, not 99.9, not 99.99, exactly 100. And I think the person reading that is like, of course it's 100, and they send it to me. But about half of the ingredients lists we get are not 100. And I have to send them back and be like, please change the water by 0.1 or something like that to make it 100 exactly, because they can't.
Add 1 drop to each bottle. 1 drop of water.
One drop of printer ink is more like it, but yeah.
So, what's the funniest or strangest thing that you've encountered in the import business?
A lot of things are really funny to me and my partners because they're so ridiculous when dealing with customs, but I don't know if they're really funny to other people. We had this one product that was sent to us, and the methanol rating was, so we didn't know this, I've never had a problem with anything like this, but the methanol was very, 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 very different. It was Korea's is very, very low. It's like 3 parts of something per something. The EU is 5 somethings per something. And this product was over that, and we never had to deal with that because usually this is a really traditional German product, so it's not the finest refined product, right? But we got it, and we had to test it, and it was so high, we had to actually take a class because it was such like a grievance offense against the rule. Like it wasn't like 3.5, it was like 7 or 8 somethings per something. And the funny thing was, it was actually higher than the EU standards. So if this product was tested in the EU where it's produced, it wouldn't even passed. But it was so high over it. The government's like, "What are you trying to do? This is deadly." And it wasn't. And it isn't. The safety is still definitely within safe amounts. But it was basically old man German moonshine. So we had to take a class about how to follow rules and stuff like that.
How does old man German moonshine taste?
Depends who you ask.
I'm asking you.
I was not. I had. It's not the best.
All right. So we've got one more question for you today. If one of our viewers,
right,
whatever country they're in, I mean Korea or anywhere, if they find a product that they want that is not imported into their country, what should they do?
Well, I think the first thing you need to do is figure out why it's not there. I know from like the business school standpoint, we've all done the assignment where find a product and introduce it to a new culture or something like that. And that works fine for school. But what I've discovered is that local markets or local, businessmen are not stupid. If the product is not in the country, there's generally a reason for it. And it's not that they haven't thought of it. It's because there is maybe no market for it. Maybe the market isn't big enough. Maybe there is a specific chemical in most products we talked about earlier wasn't allowed. Maybe on the package it says, premium, and the word premium is not allowed on packages of that type of product in that country, and it was too much to change the labels. But very rarely have I come across a product, and you like to think that when you see something like, "Oh, I'm so smart, I found this, and they're going to love it in Hong Kong, they're going to love it in Korea," and like they haven't thought about it yet. You think you're really smart. Generally, that's not the case. Generally, someone's looked at it and realized it wasn't a good idea. So really understand why that product is in the country. Look at the laws, look at the tariffs, look at the marketing, how have you marketed, look at what the tastes of the local economy are, local culture are, and kind of really look at those things. Don't just look at what isn't there, but look at why it isn't there. And I think that's the most important thing to do.
Excellent. Well, Morgan, is there anything else you'd like to say to our viewers around the world?
Yeah, again, importing is a very frustrating business, but it's also very interesting because you get to meet a lot of interesting people and you get to kind of
Like me?
Yeah, be at the forefront. You get to be at the forefront of like a new trend or something like that in a market. So it can be really rewarding and interesting. It can be very lucrative if you get the right product.
And free samples, I'm sure.
Yes, and you get in the liquor business, and pretty much anybody you write, they're like, yeah, we'll send you a few bottles. We definitely have our sample refrigerator in our office.
Well, we look forward to you visiting Hong Kong again with many of those samples for our office here.
Well, there are customs rules that might be.
You can bring one bottle into Hong Kong,
right.
So, as long as it's not old man German moonshine.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you very much. And viewers, if there's any questions you have, please put them in the comments. If there's a topic or somebody that you'd like us to cover, let us know. And if you or someone you know would like to be on one of our webinars, put that in the comments as well. Have a great day.